Let me ask you something. What's the one gardening move that separates a garden that looks nice in spring from a garden that makes people stop in their tracks and say, wow? Here's the secret. It's not something you do in April. It's not something you do when the garden centers are overflowing with blooms. It's something you do this month. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to give you my proven list of the only 7 perennials you should be focusing on right now if you want jaw-dropping color and structure when spring finally rolls around. And don't worry, this isn't complicated. I promise it's easier than you think. No guesswork, no wasting money on the wrong plants, just a clear, step-by-step plan for gorgeous spring blooms. So why plant in September instead of waiting for spring? Here's the secret most gardeners miss. The soil is still warm, so roots take off fast, but the air is cool, so the plant isn't stressed. That's the perfect combo. Your perennials spend fall building powerhouse roots underground, and by spring, boom, instant payoff. Peonies bursting with bigger blooms, irises multiplying, daylilies stronger than ever. While spring-planted perennials are still settling in, yours will already be thriving. This is how you go from a garden that looks nice to one that makes jaws drop. And the best part? You don't have to guess. That's exactly what we plan for here every season. So if you're ready to garden smarter, not harder, hit subscribe and let's grow together. Here's the plan. We're counting down from number 7 to number 1. For each plant, I'll show you exactly what it looks like, why it deserves a spot on this list, and give you one pro tip you can use right away. So whether you're a longtime gardener or just getting started, you'll know exactly how to plant smart this fall. Let's jump in. Number 7 is Lupine, and this one is pure magic for adding height and drama to your garden. Here's the mini hook. Lupines give you those incredible, towering spikes of color that look almost painted onto the landscape. They're the kind of flowers that make a cottage garden feel like a fairy tale. And the best part, they actually thrive in soil where fussier plants struggle.
Now, what makes them so powerful for fall planting? It's their root system. Lupines develop a deep taproot, and once that's established, they're tough as nails. But here's the catch. They absolutely hate being moved once they're in place. That's why September is the perfect time to get them started. Sow seeds directly or plant potted specimens now, and give that root system all fall and winter to anchor in before spring arrives. For my regular viewers, here's a pro tip you'll love. Lupines are nitrogen fixers. That means they actually improve the soil around them by adding nitrogen back in. Plant them alongside heavy feeders like roses, and you'll notice everything around them gets a little healthier. And if you're newer to gardening, here's your step-by-step. Lupines want well-draining soil. Don't over-fertilize or try to pamper them. Keep the soil a little lean, and they'll reward you with stronger blooms. Choose a spot in full to part sun, water them to establish, and then let them do their thing. Get this right, and by next spring, you'll have tall flower spikes in blues, purples, and pinks that stop people in their tracks. And if you think that's impressive, wait until you see number 6, a plant that keeps blooming, keeps buzzing with pollinators, and barely asks for anything in return. Coming in at number 6 is a perennial that's so reliable, I call it the workhorse of the border. Salvia, specifically Salvia nemorosa May night. Here's your mini hook. This plant is a pollinator magnet. Bees, butterflies, hummingbirds, you name it. And the bloom time? Massive. From late spring straight through to fall, you'll have those deep purple, blue flower spikes standing tall. Plus, it's practically indestructible, deer-resistant, drought-tolerant, and winter-hardy. Why plant it in fall? Because the cooler weather gives it a head start underground, so when spring rolls in, it bursts up with even stronger stems and fuller growth. You're not just planting a flower, you're planting months of continuous color. Now for my experienced gardeners, here's the pro tip you'll love. Salvia's first big bloom in June? Shear it back by half. Don't be shy, cut it down. What happens next is magic. Instead of getting leggy, the plant bounces back bushier, and you'll get a second round of blooms that look just as good as the first. It's like hitting the refresh button on your border. And for those just starting out, here's the simple how-to. Pick a sunny spot, give it well-drained soil, and water it regularly until it's established. After that, salvia is the definition of low maintenance. Once it's in, you can almost forget about it, and it will keep rewarding you with color and pollinators year after year. This is one of those plants that proves gardening doesn't have to be complicated. Easy to grow, stunning in bloom, and incredibly rewarding. And as we keep climbing the list, the plants only get more spectacular. Up next, number 5, a classic perennial that bursts with vibrant blooms and keeps coming back stronger every single year. Coming in at number 5, we've got the true workhorse of the perennial garden, the daylily. Here's the hook. Each bloom only lasts a single day, but don't let that fool you. A single clump can push out dozens of flowers, one after the other, so the display lasts for weeks. Some varieties even rebloom later in the season, giving you color twice in a year.
Daylilies are tough, adaptable, and forgiving. Whether your soil is sandy, clay, or somewhere in between, they'll usually make it work. Full sun is best for maximum blooms, but they'll tolerate part shade too. They're the kind of plant that rewards beginners while still earning respect from seasoned gardeners. Now, for my regulars, here's a pro tip you probably already know, but might not be using to your advantage. September is the perfect time to divide your daylilies. If you've got big, overgrown clumps, dig them up, slice them apart, and replant the healthy fans. Not only will your original plant bounce back stronger, but you've just multiplied your garden for free. A single clump can turn into 5, 6, or even more new plants in one afternoon. And for my newer gardeners, here's how easy it is. Dig a hole, drop the plant in, cover it up, and give it a good soak. That's it. Daylilies don't demand coddling. They're famously easygoing, and once established, they'll come back year after year with very little maintenance. If you want guaranteed blooms and a plant that thrives almost anywhere, this is your no-fail perennial. But maybe you're after something a little more whimsical, something that adds a touch of magic to your spring garden. That's exactly what number 4 delivers. Number 4 on our list is a plant that brings pure whimsy to the garden, Columbine. These are the kinds of flowers that make people lean in closer. The blooms are intricate, almost like little lanterns or shooting stars, and they come in a rainbow of colors. Best of all, hummingbirds absolutely adore them. Plant Columbine and you'll turn your spring garden into a pollinator playground. Columbine thrives in partial sun, especially in spots where it gets morning light and afternoon shade. It's also one of those plants that looks delicate, but is surprisingly resilient once it's settled in. Even better, it self-seeds gently. That means once you plant it, you'll often find new baby columbines popping up nearby, filling your garden with even more color year after year. And for my newer gardeners, don't worry, they're not fussy. Columbines like cool roots, so put them in a spot with afternoon shade or under the dappled light of a tree. Add some mulch to keep the soil cool and moist, and they'll reward you with a carpet of blooms in late spring. Columbine is one of those plants that adds charm and a sense of surprise to any space. It feels playful, elegant, and natural all at once.
And speaking of elegance, number 3 is a plant that doesn't just fill space, it anchors a border with bold leaves and color that lasts long after the flowers fade. Number 3 is all about foliage that steals the show. Coral bells, also known as Heuchera. While most perennials focus on flowers, coral bells are grown for their leaves, and what leaves they are. You'll find them in deep purples, silvery greens, vibrant lime, even caramel tones. Plant a few varieties together, and suddenly your garden looks like an artist's palette that lasts through spring, summer, and even into fall. And don't forget, the flowers are charming too. Delicate, airy blooms rise above the foliage in late spring to early summer, adding another layer of texture. But even after the flowers fade, those colorful leaves keep your borders, pathways, and containers looking alive and polished. Why plant them in September? Because coral bells prefer cooler weather to settle in. The fall air and warm soil help their roots anchor deeply, so by spring, you've got a full, thriving clump. Plus, fall planting means they won't face the stress of summer heat right after being transplanted. Now, for my seasoned gardeners, here's the pro tip. Don't plant just one. Group 3 or 5 coral bells together in mixed shades. The contrast of lime next to purple or silver next to red adds dimension and interest you can't get from flowers alone. And they pair beautifully with hostas, ferns, and even spring bulbs. And for those of you just starting out, coral bells are easy. They like part sun to part shade, especially dappled light. They need well-drained soil, so avoid soggy spots. Once they're in, just keep them watered until established and then enjoy their color all year. Coral bells are like the background music of the garden. Subtle but unforgettable, tying everything together. And if you're looking for bold flowers to pair with that foliage, our number 2 plant delivers elegance and drama that lasts for decades. Number 2 is a classic that every perennial garden should have. The bearded iris. This plant is pure elegance. Tall, sword-like leaves add strong vertical lines to your garden. And when it blooms in late spring, those riffled flowers look almost unreal. They come in nearly every color you can imagine. Deep blues, bright yellows, velvety purples, pure whites, and stunning bicolors. It's like planting living art. But here's what makes bearded iris a must plant in September. This is the ideal time to divide and replant rhizomes. The weather is cool enough to avoid stress, but the soil is still warm enough for roots to establish before winter. By the time spring comes, you'll see tall stalks and showy blooms that can last for weeks. And here's the kicker. Once established, irises can keep blooming for decades with minimal care. For my regulars, here's the pro tip. Don't bury the rhizome too deep. Keep the top just at or slightly above the soil surface, and make sure it gets plenty of sun, at least 6 hours a day. Plant them in clumps of 3 or more for the most dramatic display, and divide every 3 to 4 years to keep the blooms strong. And for casual or new gardeners, the how-to couldn't be easier. Dig a shallow hole, set the rhizome in with roots spread out, cover lightly with soil, and water in well. That's it. Irises are tough, reliable, and incredibly rewarding. Imagine this: bright spring sunlight, glinting off a bed of tall, riffled irises in every color of the rainbow. It's the kind of sight that makes you fall in love with your garden all over again. And if you think number 2 is spectacular, just wait, because number 1 isn't just a flower, it's a legend in the perennial world. With blooms so breathtaking, they've been the centerpiece of spring gardens for centuries. And here we are, number 1 on the list, the queen of the perennial garden, the plant that gardeners dream about, the peony.
There's a reason peonies have been beloved for centuries. When they bloom in late spring, the flowers are enormous, lush, and dripping with elegance. They come in every shade, from soft blush pink to bold magenta, snowy white, even coral tones that glow in the sun. A mature peony in full bloom is simply breathtaking, like having bouquets already waiting for you in the garden. But peonies aren't just pretty faces. They're tough, cold-hardy, and once established, they can live for decades, sometimes even generations. Plant one now, and you might be passing it down to your children. That's how enduring they are. Why plant in September? Because peonies need time to settle their roots before winter. They don't like to be disturbed, and they're slow to establish. But give them a cool autumn to root in, and by spring, you'll already see strong shoots pushing up, ready to reward your patience.
Here's my pro tip for the regulars. When you're planting peony tubers, make sure the eyes are no more than 1 to 2 inches below the soil surface. Plant them too deep, and they may grow foliage but refuse to bloom. Sunlight is also critical. 6 hours or more a day is ideal. And for new gardeners, don't be intimidated. Dig a wide hole, enrich the soil with compost, and set the peony in with those eyes facing upward. Backfill, water well, and then leave it alone. Peonies don't want to be moved once they're happy.